Being unprepared is how great fathers become weekend visitors. I'm Jude Sandval, and this is Strategic Defense, the operational briefing for fathers who refuse to be sidelined by a system that exploits drift and unpreparedness. I ensure your mistakes don't become your permanent reality. While a lawyer handles your legal rights, I serve as your guide through the decision gap to protect your actual role as a father. You are now entering the command center. Today's briefing begins now. Hello, dads, and welcome back to this week's briefing. If you're listening to this, you're likely in the middle of a high-stakes transition. You know that you're feeling the weight of the system, and today we're going to talk about the single most dangerous weapon in the family court arsenal. We're talking about what I call the silver bullet. It's a calculated playbook used by some mothers to systematically dismantle a father's life, his reputation, and his access to his children in one single move. It's the use of false allegations, abuse, neglect, coercive control, domestic violence, whatever it might be, to manipulate the court and put you on a permanent defensive. And so I'm not here today to give you sugar-coated reassurances or BS platitudes. I am here today to warn you that being prepared about this is how you are going to end up a visitor in your kiddo's life. Because the research shows that parents separated from their kids are 86% more likely to face unsubstantiated claims of abuse. Now, this isn't a theory that I'm making up, guys. It's a tactical reality. We're going to look at the math of the courtroom, the poison of the believe all women culture, and why even if you are 100% innocent, you are in a fight for your life. Let's start with the math of failure. You've heard me talk about a preponderance of evidence versus clear and convincing evidence. Most dads, and this was me as well, walk into a hearing thinking they are innocent until proven guilty. That is absolutely not true, and that is your first mistake. In family court, that principle does not exist. If anything, it's the opposite. Family court is a civil arena. It does not work on a beyond in reasonable doubt concept or on a clear and convincing evidence concept. It works on a preponderance of evidence. I call it the 51% rule. So preponderance means more likely than not. If the judge is 51% convinced of a narrative, even a lie, you will lose. The weight of a single allegation can tip those scales. When a false allegation is lodged, the system's goal shifts from finding the truth to risk management. And an overworked judge managing a docket at capacity would rather sideline a fit father for 3 months, 6 months, a year, just to be safe than risk a headline of a child in danger. The other part of this is the muddy water effect. This is the part that kills your case, even if you are eventually exonerated. Even if, say, CPS finds that the claims are unsubstantiated, the water is already muddied. In this 51% system where there's smoke, there's fire, is the judicial philosophy. Even if the allegation is proven false, the judge may still have a jaundiced view of you. They'll use that unproven doubt to justify restricted or supervised time while the case continues. You aren't fighting the truth. You're fighting a narrative that only needs to be 1% more believable than yours. If you aren't the primary strategist of your case, the system then will choose efficiency over your bond every single time. Let's talk about the believe all women concept. Why is the bar so low? Because we're living in a societal mindset of believe all women at any cost. This has moved beyond a social movement into a legal doctrine that assumes a woman is a victim the moment she speaks and a man is a perpetrator the moment he is accused. We saw this in the Johnny Depp and the Amber Heard trial. We saw it play out on the global stage. For years, Johnny Depp was the villain because Amber Heard wrote one op-ed. The world believed her without a shred of forensic proof. It took a televised trial and the exposure of her own audio recordings where she mocked him, saying, "Tell the world, Johnny, see how many people believe you," to finally break the spell. Even with that evidence, Heard's team argued that if a victim doesn't have documentation of every incident, they won't be believed. The perfect victim fallacy tells us that a survivor must be weak and quiet. And because Johnny Depp didn't fit that mold, he was initially erased. And then we've got this, for whatever reason. So I'm on social media trying to get this message out more. And so I ran across this Taylor Frankie Paul situation the last few days, the Bachelorette fiasco. The narrative of this struggling mom only lasted until video evidence surfaced showing her throwing metal bar stools at her partner while her 5-year-old daughter was right there on the couch. She pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. And this was 3 years ago that she pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. Yet the public dissonance between her social media mom persona and the reality of the violence is exactly what the silver bullet relies on. The fallacy is that gender equals morality. It doesn't. There are women who will use the silver bullet to burn the house down just to ensure they're the only ones left standing. You cannot rely on your good guy reputation to save you when the cultural default assumes you are the problem. And I just want to speak into the guys. I've got lots of reaction from the guys about the tone of how we're talking about this strategy now versus support. Support connotates, guys, that you are a victim. That's why we've moved from divorce support from dads to strategic defense for fathers. You are not a victim, and you need to be in control of your situation here. You have agency and you have the ability to do something about your divorce. So you need to be doing something. And that's why we've changed this messaging and this tone. So that's why you need to pay attention to this. I know you guys that are listening are going, when we're going to talk about this in a minute, about the amicable trap, and you've heard me talk about it too, is, well, you know, I just want to get through this. I want to be nice. I don't want to cause too much disruption, etc. Okay, that's fine. Hopefully, because 90+% of divorces get settled outside of divorce, that's going to happen in your case. But you have got to be prepared and know that there is the potential for this silver bullet and the complete burning down of everything. And it will happen very quickly, and it will destroy you for a very long time. So even if it doesn't happen to you, knowing about it and being prepared for it is the safe way to go. Let's talk about the double front war. So if she really wants to bury you, she's not just going to file in family court. She's going to call 911 and lodge a criminal complaint. Now you're going to be dealing with a criminal case and a divorce case at the same time. This is a calculated tactical maneuver designed to do two things. First, drain your resources. The second, distract your strategy. You're now paying for two sets of lawyers, a criminal defense attorney and a family law attorney. Your ability to fund the custody battle is being bled dry by the need to stay out of jail. While you're worried about a misdemeanor assault charge, the family court is setting the status quo. While you're fighting for your freedom, you're losing your children. And then there's the other trap, if you will, the Miranda trap. Anything you say in family court, to be honest or contrite or however you want to show up, can be used as a confession in your criminal case. But if you stand silent in family court to protect your criminal defense, the family judge, under that 51% preponderance standard, can and often will interpret that silence as a sign of guilt and issue a protection order, maybe even a permanent protection order against you. The goal of these false allegations isn't necessarily a conviction. It's the process. And the process is
the punishment. I hope that makes sense to you. So, what are the red flags and the tactical defense blueprint that you can implement if this happens? Most dads get blindsided because they believe the woman they married still exists. I'm sorry, gentlemen, she does not. You need to spot the red flags of a silver bullet before it happens. The amicable facade I just mentioned. She tells you, let's just keep this civil. We don't need lawyers. This is a setup to get you to move out of the house without an order or to lower your guard. It will only remain true until you stop giving her exactly what she wants. So you need to make sure that the amicable is followed up with amicable actions, just not amicable words. Let's make this amicable. Okay, well, amicable is when she is showing up amicable, not just saying that it's going to be amicable. And if you say no and it stops being amicable, then you've got your answer. There's your red flag. Another one is the predictive threat. Man, you've heard this saying, if someone tells you they're going to do something, believe them. If she has ever said, you'll never see the kids again, she has already begun the mental preparation for a false allegation. Okay? So believe her when she says, I will make your life hell. Believe her when she says, I'm going to take the kids away from you. Believe her when she says anything because she's already thought about it. Okay? That's the predictive threat red flag. I can't tell you guys how many times I've sat with clients and I've talked to them about circumstances that were happening through the divorce. And I said, look, that language is very scary. That language is a red flag. You need to pay attention to it. And I got, oh, yeah, no, she was upset. We were in an argument. It was very heated. And the next week, he ends up with a protective order, or worse, I've had clients end up in jail. And so believe it when you hear it, and also work with somebody that can help you decipher. That may have been the relational dynamic that you have had throughout your marriage. And so you just don't know or see how this relational dynamic and what these red flags are that are showing up and how it's going to impact your divorce. So, but that's why we're here. And that's why we're talking about this strategic tactical defense against this stuff, because this now will have an impact on your relationship with your kiddos for could be the next couple of decades. Okay, the next one, and this is not a comprehensive list, guys. These are just 3 quick ones that you need to pay attention to. The last one is sudden escalation. Minor disagreements turn into 3-day screaming matches. What she's doing is looking for a reaction. She can record or pathologize as quote unquote aggression. And guys, look, I'm telling you, if you don't believe that she's capable of doing this, I want you to get on one of our calls, our 2 monthly, our calls that we have twice monthly, and talk to some of the guys that are on these calls that are either dealing with this during the time, but we've got lots of guys that have already gone through this and down the road. Some of them came through it with, I don't want to say unscathed because they're not unscathed, but with their parenting time intact, but some serious damage that they had to deal with and that they had to mitigate. Some of the guys on our call have very little to no time because of this, and because that they did not plan and they did not look for these red flags. Man, I've had clients where when we get into the discovery part of their divorce, have found and have pieced together the puzzle and saw, well, she already had an attorney for 6 months, 9 months, over one guy had, his wife had an attorney for over a year, and looked for and created these small minor escalations until she was able to contrive a time and orchestrate a time and a circumstance to where she was able to then get an allegation that made his life absolute nightmare. So look, I hope and I pray that this does not happen to you, dads, but you've got to be prepared for it, because if you're not, it is much harder on you to get through this process. So what can you do to protect yourself? One, accept this truth that I'm telling you, and also accept the truth that it doesn't matter what you do. And this is a hard one. You can be the perfect dad, and you can have been a perfect dad up until this point, and an allegation can still be lodged. I've seen this happen. It is another tactic. I've got a client now. It's like, I was perfect dad. I've got all the cards, the Father's Day cards, et cetera, until we got into this divorce process. All of a sudden, I'm not. Well, look, that's what happens. You can be the perfect dad, and an allegation can still be lodged, but you can make it indefensible. So the other thing that you can do is never be alone. If this has gotten into a high conflict, or there's starting to be escalations, never be in the same room without a witness or recording device, depending on where you're at and if it's legal for you to record. Don't have any of these one less talks or any of these impromptu, maybe we can hash it out, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you need to be covering yourself. Communication lockdown, move all of the communication to a court-approved app, Our Family Wizard, Talking Parents, any one of those. Do not continue to text thing. And I know that it's so convenient to text, guys. And I keep telling guys over and over, even existing coaching clients, stop with the texts. Move it to the platform. Do not call, and even worse, do not do phone calls, because then it becomes a he said, she said. If it's not in the app, it didn't happen. Move your communication to a parenting app. And the last one, unbelievably important. If the police show up, do not fall for the good guy trap. Use this script. Now, you might think that you're being cooperative. You might think justice will prevail, like all of this stuff that we've talked about. This is the script you use. Officer, I'm happy to cooperate with your presence, but I'm choosing to exercise my right to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney before answering any questions. Say it, then stop talking. Don't explain. Silence is your only armor. Better to be silent and have the officer thinking bad stuff about you for an hour until you talk to your attorney than saying stuff and talking and then getting yourself into a worse situation. Then that causes difficulties in your divorce, and you don't see your kids. So silence is your only armor. And I'm going to say this again for you guys. Officer, I'm happy to cooperate with your presence, but I'm choosing to exercise my right to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney before answering any questions. Okay. Look, guys, I know that this has been a heavy, heavy episode, but I'd rather you be stressed today and prepared tomorrow than blindsided next week and erased for the next decade. The silver bullet is designed to make you panic. It relies on your disbelief. It relies on you being reasonable with an unreasonable person. But panic is what the strategy depends on. So stop hoping she's going to come to her senses if you're in a high conflict. She's playing for keeps, and you need to lead with grounded integrity. You're the only one in that room who is truly fighting for your children's future. Finally, I want you to head over to thedivorcedadvocate.com. We've got the weekend visitor risk assessment. It'll identify your exposure zones before the system exploits them. It'll take a little less than 10 minutes. Go through that. It will give you some immediate results. And if you want, you and I can sit down and we can assess those and triage and talk about your next steps. All right, gentlemen, stay strong. Your kids are counting on you. Thank you for listening. If you found some value in this week, please give us a star rating, leave a comment, share this far and wide on social media. Like I said, I'm making more of an effort to get out on social media to get this message and the divorced advocate message to more dads that need and deserve this help. Thank you. Have a great week, and God bless.
This concludes today's briefing. Remember, in the family court system, intelligence without execution is liability. Ground is lost quietly during the decision gap between your court hearings. Being unprepared is how great fathers become weekend visitors. I ensure your mistakes don't become your permanent reality. Secure your role today at thedivorcedadvocate.com. Take the weekend visitor risk assessment to identify your exposure, or book your private fatherhood protection system. Stay strong. Your kids are counting on you.